Worst meal tip for eating on GLP-1 weight loss for success, which is science-based, and how to eat less on GLP-1 for weight loss best success. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have had best success. I've lost actually over 113 pounds. I was morbidly obese, weighing over 300 pounds, now doing cool things like lifting and horseback riding and completely changing my life. And on today's episode, there is a science-based data that I discovered. It's an older study, but it's so applicable for GLP-1 weight loss. I was like, I have to tell my besties, you will walk away from this video being able to use this during the holiday season, if the holidays have passed, if you want to refine your food and food choices, or if you just want an easy shortcut hack. It's one of the easiest things to do. There was a study that had come out, and I will cite my source down below, as always. I always cite my scientific sources because I do demand and require that I'm scientifically accurate and factual and have reliable data to give you guys. This study was done on plates. And you may say, Countess, we're talking about plates today. We are, bestie. We're going to be talking about a scientific study that was done on the differences of different plates and why it actually matters for your health. When I read the study, my jaw was dropped, and you can immediately apply this tip for your health today. So basically, there was over 50 studies done that were examining different plate sizes and like, does plate size on a weight loss journey actually matter? If you use a big plate, if you use a small plate. My husband says, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, you like a big plate. And I was like, there's a joke there, but I'm not going to do it. So I have been trying to shift over to using smaller plates on my GLP-1 weight loss journey. And I was very curious as I did some research on this, that there was a study from the Journal of the Association for Consumer Research examining all these prior findings about plate sizes, and that there was 56 previous studies about the plates, and basically like going anywhere from like having ice cream on different size plates, popcorn on different size plates, bowls versus plates. Like if you're using a bowl versus a plate size, what does that do for you? And basically what the study, the punchline is that the combining all of these studies, hold on to your britches, showed that having the plate size, literally just cutting your plate size in half, found a reduction in the amount of food consumed on average by 30%. Cutting your food, like this is the best meal tip ever. If you cut your plate down by having the plate size, it led to a 30% reduction in the amount of food consumed on average. So sometimes less, sometimes more, but on average, 30%. In the case of plates, reducing the diameter by 30% halves the area of the plate and reduces consumption by 30%. Y'all! Now, there's two parts to this study, though, that either will massively not work for you or work for you. So stay with me till the end, because we're going to go through all of these different factors about why these plates, it's like super fascinating. I'm like, why did no one tell me this when I started my GLP-1 journey, right? Because when we start on, whether we're on WEGOVY, ZEPBOUND, Mounjaro, none of this is medical advice. Always talk to your own healthcare provider. I've recently switched from ZEPBOUND brand name to Tirzepatide compound GLP-1 plus GIP. And by the way, if I didn't say all my stuff is going to be linked in the description, it will be. So switching over to any of these, you can, like, we have a reduction in appetite. Typically, most people do. If you haven't yet had a reduction in appetite, perhaps going up and talking to your healthcare provider about that on a higher dose of why that may matter for you. By switching over these plate consumption, the first smaller plate is best if dinners are self-serving. So why this matters is you are self-serving. You're not having a waiter serve you or a waitress, or you are serving yourself. The host at a party, like maybe, for example, for the Christmas holidays, you're hosting something and you serve your family members the food. And you're like, I'm not going to have to buy as much food. It's going to cut down on my grocery bill. If you serve it, this will not work. How it works and what the study found was you, the person who's consuming the food, you are the one that makes the self-serve portions. That is one of the hingemans. There's two. One of the hingemans is that you serve yourself. And providing those smaller plates, we actually will serve ourselves less, is what the study found. I find this fascinating psychology, by the way. The second factor which we're going to talk about. But first, one of the things that has mattered most on my weight loss journey that I started to do at the very beginning of my weight loss journey almost 3 years ago was take LMNT electrolytes. I'm obsessed with them. My family, my hot husband, my kid, we all take LMNT electrolytes. My personal favorite is I'm on an orange hyperfixation right now. Like, I am obsessed with the orange sticks that they have because they do have magnesium, potassium, and sodium, which helps with side effects. But now I also take it because, quite frankly, I do eat less on days that I take LMNT electrolytes. Recently, they came out with slim cans. The pineapple salt is my absolute favorite. And then they also have lemonade salt as my second favorite. It is so good, but there's smaller cans in there. They do taste salty because they have sodium, magnesium, and potassium, obviously, before taking any supplement. Talk to your healthcare provider. I use when I have the stick, about a third of the stick in a 40-ounce tumbler. And so I try to do that earlier in the day, but now with my lifting and weight training, it's been nice to have after I lift too. It's been like one of my rewards for weight training. You can get 8 free sticks with any, you can get free sticks with any stick purchase. And you can go to drinkelement.com/queen, QUEEN, to go ahead and do that. I have found it so helpful for me. I do eat less when I have LMNT electrolytes versus when I don't. And because of that magnesium, potassium, and sodium. So one of the next big factors for smaller plates work best when consumers are unaware that their consumption is being monitored. This is where it literally hit me in the sternum. I was like, oh! It's like one of those Avengers scenes where they push the time stone out and it's like, oh, that's when I read that, I was like, yeah, that's me. Weighing over 300 pounds and having at times, distorted perspective on food, I very much could relate to this. So the second factor is that smaller plates work best if consumers are unaware that their consumption is being monitored. If consumers are aware that they're being monitored, this does not work. But modifying plate size have no effect on consumption if you know you're being watched. But it helps to explain why so many studies conducted in food laboratories have not found effective plate size on consumption, because there's many studies done and they're like, plate size doesn't matter, but it's because they were watching them in food laboratories. If you don't know that you're being watched, how many people can relate to this? Tell me in the comments. When I read this, I was like, yes, when I knew people were watching me, which was often, it does skew my behavior, right? So the finding on the research show simply switching to smaller plates curb overeating among individuals. And I would say, I'm going to add this on from my own experience, strength and hope, by having these smaller plates. It's not just about the plates, although that's been amazing. It's all utensils. I've gotten smaller spoons. I have big spoons and little spoons. I use my big spoons for my soups, but mainly now I really like to we have big spoons, smaller spoons, and then even smaller itty bitty spoons like this, like a caviar type spoon. Using those, y'all, it's harder to eat, but my portions are smaller because of GLP-1 weight loss. Getting ramekins, one of the best things to do for my snack foods. These are bowls, these are big, that's a big bowl. And we have other bigger bowls too that we use for soup. But this is beyond big for me if I'm having an ounce of cheese looks like a peanut in here. You know what I'm saying? So having these smaller bowls, smaller plates, ramekins really do ramekins are what sauces are for restaurants. If you're like, what's a ramekin? They're what you put sauces in. Can you imagine honey mustard in this? I used to serve that when I was a waitress back in the day when I was a server. That was the size in which we'd give people for honey mustard dipping for their fried chicken. So having smaller sizes, but you have to be in control of it, and it has to be self-serve. So, and not realize you're being monitored at all. And so with the buffet, for example, a buffet style, letting your guests at the holidays pick out their food, but just giving them smaller plates. It annoys me though when I go somewhere as a guest at someone's home and they just have these, they don't have these. I'm like, where's the big plates? That's why my husband said the thing earlier to me about, you like big plates. I'm like, I know, don't be chintzy. But I do overeat with the big plates. I do. And on some foods, I'm okay with that, right? If it's a vegetable bar, if you have a vegetable bar, you use the big plates. You use those big plates. But if it's for things like desserts, maybe even smaller plates than these. They do have smaller, like you can get even smaller plates than those. This study does not discern against round plates versus square plate. There was no linking on that. I found this consumer research fascinating of why this is the worst for us is in general, a couple of things. One, with my GLP-1 weight loss, I don't recognize sometimes because 24 hours to 48 hours after my injection, I feel it. That is my peak appetite suppression for me. You do you, but for me, that's when I feel it. And so with that peak appetite suppression, leaning into this plate concept really does make a big difference of it reminds me of like, why am I eating so much? I don't need to. And before, when I weighed over 300 pounds, there was a compulsion and I felt like I had to like eat it all in. And even then I wasn't even full. And that's why I personally, it was so demoralizing, would go back for 1, 2, 3 refills on big plates. I think if I was refilling on small plates, even if I was like, you can have as many small plates as you want, but you're gonna have to use the small plates. It takes time for us to feel full. What is it, 20 minutes before we feel full? And so allowing my body that chance to digest and to feel it. That's one of the best blessings that I've had on GLP-1 medication is the ability now to feel my body and know when I'm hungry and know when I'm full. One of the best gifts. I mean, truly, I'm like, thank you. I have not felt that of where I'm like, and I'm done, let me put my fork down. But moving towards smaller forks, smaller spoons, like knives, I still like a big knife to cut up like my steak and stuff like that. I don't want a small knife on that. I want it to be cut well. But having smaller utensils, really, I do lean into that. One of the other things that I do since going over to Europe of eating continuously of where I have my knife and fork in my hands, there was another study done on that, and I'll save that for another day, of US folks of how we eat and put our knife and fork down versus European and UK of where they leave their knife and fork in their hands and eat like that. That for me, changing the way that I ate with leaving my knife and fork in my hand, it allowed me to have smaller pieces and rest, even though I didn't put my knife and fork down in between, has been fascinating for me. Fascinating. Just simply changing because it allows me, the whole ball of wax on this is to slow down with my eating to allow my body to catch up. Now here's where the kick in the nuts can come. It's really not a kick in the nuts, that's crass. My mom wouldn't like that I said that. Will you forgive me that I said that? That was kind of crass. A kick in an elbow in the face is on day 5, is half-life. And so with that half-life, I have more hunger. The appetite has gone down, or I have more appetite and my hunger has gone up. I'm hungrier. And so with more hunger, recognizing it's okay to eat more. And for me and my brain, this has taken, literally, I'd be 3 years in January of being on the medication, that it's okay that some days I'm more hungry and other days I'm less hungry. I get the gift and the ability to adapt to that. That's why we have opposable thumbs, because we evolve as human beings. And so evolving on this GLP-1 journey, this is why I have a daily show, is because there's a continuous evolution. I am not the same person I was almost 3 years ago when I started this journey. Even this time last year, I'm not crazy different, but I definitely have really, really worked hard on the personal development component of body, mind, spirit with all of that, with my food. And so simply changing up like, oh, plates, whatever, how does eating on a bigger plate is a worst tip for me, because I will, even with GLP-1s, maximize this. Now, sometimes that's okay. One of the best gifts too is to have a bigger plate and eat a ton of vegetables on it. And if you can do that, I love that for you, of where this whole plate, most of it's vegetables and then a little part of it's the protein or whatever you want it to be. Or for me, another option that I've also started to do too is using 2 little plates. One is big for my vegetables because I want that high fiber, because I do need 25 grams of fiber per day as a woman, then it's higher. And then for my protein, have a separate small plate because I need lean proteins because of the muscle mass loss and to help build muscle. For sure, eating a high protein diet in general makes us fuller longer, but it also helps to build that protein. Allowing those, then I still find for me, like this is where it's the best part of this, I do better with that. Because I'm eating the things I'm supposed to be. Like, for example, tonight I have 99% lean ground turkey and 99% green. You could use ground chicken. You don't have to use 99%, but I like, how many calories is 99% ground chicken for 3 ounces? It's So 3 ounces of 99% lean ground chicken is just 110 to 120 calories. Let's say 120 calories to err on the side of caution. If I ate 6 ounces of that, that's just 240 calories. That's a lot. By the way, 8 ounces approximately is a cup. So that's like 3/4 of a cup. If I wanted to do, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, having my lean proteins on a small plate, and for me, my vegetables on the other, or fruit or whatever, or if you want to do Greek yogurt on these or whatever, like, I think doing that for me fares so much better than the big plate of trying to have 3/4 of it be vegetables or 1/2. I'm making that up. You do you for your food. And I have a ton of videos, binge watch them down below, talking about dietitian examples for lean proteins and fiber. But I digress. For me, incorporating this study, and that makes the best meal for me. The worst GLP-1 meal for me is eating on one of these big plates. But I will always have leftovers, and so that's when going to a restaurant, for me, gets a little bit dicey because we eat out a lot of our food. Like, we go to Chipotle quite a bit because they have leaner proteins, and they have like vegetables like romaine lettuce in there, or they're fajita vegetables, or they have beans, or the chicken, or like there's a lot of great stuff that I can get on there. For example, that is a big portion. And so I know immediately when I go to Chipotle, what's best for me is to eat half. And I will plow through that, honey. I will eat half. And then I just take the other part home. But on a restaurant plate, that's where it's a little bit different for me. And it's taken a learning curve on the GLP-1 weight loss journey to be able to recognize, like, oh, I don't need to keep eating. I need to feel my body. And I have an upcoming video, either it's come out or it's coming out, on a Japanese concept about eating. It's fascinating, about where you basically eat till you're 80% full. What is, oh, it's this. I'll talk about, you'll see it in an upcoming video. I'm going to miss, it's Japanese, Harahichibu, about this concept of eating 80% less. But how do you do that? With smaller plates, or smaller bowls, and smaller utensils. And it's an example to my son. I have the 10-year-old son, the Duke. He sees me, and now you know what he asks for? Hey, Mom, can you put my popcorn in one of these bowls? Hey, Mom, can you put some of the chips in these bowls? Like, he's watching, right? And so as opposed to these other big bowls, we have really, really big bowls, and I like to use those for salad or for our oatmeal, things like that. I used to use them for pasta. They're really big. They're pasta bowls, and they're huge. But to be able to change the serving size, because then I can reevaluate. Okay, do I need to go back and get a refill? Going back to get a refill buys me time on that 20 minutes until I'm full. It takes 20 minutes for the brain to process on average that we're full, or that we're feeling that satiation effect. And so if I have to get up, go refill the bowl, put the container back either in the pantry or the refrigerator, that's buying me time. And that does, I can see very why it's a 30% reduction of its buying time. If you're self-serving, for example, at a buffet, to go back up to the buffet table to refill, it's interesting. Now, one of the things I kind of want, if you're my family, stop watching. But if you're a bestie, lean in. I'm going to try this at Christmas. Every Christmas Eve, we have a very large party. We serve seafood, we have lobster and crab. We budget for this party for the whole year. There's caviar. It's amazing. It's so much fun, and it's fabulous. And we budget throughout the whole year to be able to do this party and to bless our family and our friends and us. And so I'm going to get smaller plates. I'm going to get smaller plates. I'm not going to watch people because it said in here about the monitoring. I'm not watching. I'm just curious. If I get smaller plates, will people eat less? I think so. I think so. I'm like super excited to try. I'm not going to get these plates because that's too chintzy. And if I was at a holiday party, I'd be like, cheap. I was going to say a cuss word. Cheap person. So it's not going to be this small, but it's not going to be this big. Is there a plate in between? I think so. I'm going to find them. I want like in between salad plates or dessert plates and dinner serving plates. I know they're out there. I'm going to find them. I am going to find them, and that is going to be my test. So stay tuned into the new year. Click that like and subscribe button, because after the holidays, I definitely will share with you. Because I have the ordering of like how much we order every year, and then leftovers. Like I always track that, because I'm like, if there's leftover lobster tail, I'm eating it the next day. We'll eat that like December 26th. No, it's so good. And I usually don't eat that much, or December 25th. I don't eat that much at the party Christmas Eve because I'm hosting. And so I want to take care of my guests. And so I typically don't indulge as much. So I'm super curious about testing this plate thing at the holidays. I think that it's going to work. But I think in general, overall, even if, so let's just say that the consumption's not even 30%. What if for you it's just an extra 10% reduction? Okay, maybe you're having in terms of calories per day, 1,500 calories per day. Let's do some quick math on that. If it's a 10% reduction in changing our plates, 150, it's 1,500 calories you have per day is 150 calorie savings. In a week, that's 1,050 in a week times 4. Y'all, that's 4,200 calorie savings. That's over a pound because a pound is 3,500 calories. That's a pound a month that you could lose feasibly by just changing your plates on a conservative end. Let's do a little bit more aggressive than that. The study says on average 30%. So let's do 30%. Say your calories consumed each day on average is 1,500. We're going to do a 30% reduction, which is 450 calories. We're going to times that in a month by 30 days. That's 13,500 calories in a month that you would save by eating 30% less by switching your plates. Let's divide that out by 3,500 is pounds. That is 3.85 pounds feasibly you could lose in a month. Almost 4 pounds. That's a pound a week simply by changing your daggone plates. That's crazy. Self-serving yourself, don't have someone else serve you, and that you're not feeling like you're being watched or monitored or things like that, that someone else, like your husband or somebody else is watching you, that you're in control of this. And I do find from somebody with a distorted food perspective, feeling that control over this super important. For me, it very much is. When I feel like I don't have control over it, like that's when I get anxiety provoked. It's like poking with a stick. It's kind of how it feels for me. And clearly, like for me, weighing over 300 pounds and being on this journey for 3 years, I have had so much healing and so much growth, the growth of this. And I know for so many of you, Bestie, if you've made it this far in the video, I know you have had so much growth on your weight loss journey, and I applaud you. Give yourself a pat on the back. Countess is giving you a pat on the back right now, and we need to celebrate that. I know also I still have more to do. There's still more work to be done on this healing. Y'all, I want to be jacked. Like, I'm not going to have a six-pack, honey, but I want to have some muscles in my arms. I see in my arms, I'm like, there's room for improvement there in a beautiful, healthy, loving way of like, I'm so proud of what I've done. And also I'm excited to grow. And I know you are too. I really do know you are too. So I will cite the source down below. I find it fascinating. This whole thing is fascinating to me. That like just doing the simple math, hopefully that math made sense to y'all. It made sense to me, but sometimes things that make sense to me don't make sense to others. So hopefully that makes sense about the potential weight loss that can happen and just simply changing our meals up, our GLP1 meals, whether you're on WEGOVY, SEMAGLUTIDE, Tirzepatide, ZEPBOUND, Ozempic, partridge in a pear tree. It's all gravy, baby. So let me know down below. I'm curious. Are you going to try this tactic? Are you going to try it? I have also, by the way, did I have it in the studio? I don't. Even like my leftover containers, I got rid of a lot of my big leftover containers. I found that when I had leftovers, I would, in a big container, I'd scoop out more portions. And so now I like to put them in smaller containers. They're good serving sizes. It's just not jumbo. And that for me, even on my leftovers, has been helpful. So try it. Tell me down below. Our emoji of the day is going to be a plate. I do emojis of the day, or like utensils. I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care. The pattern recognition of seeing your name over and over helps me to know you, and I truly care about you. If you've made it this far in the video, my friend, you are a bestie, and I care about you, and I'm cheering for you, and I want you to have success so much. If you have not joined the free encouragement group, or even not joined but haven't checked in today, go to countessofshopping.com/group, GROUP. And go check in. It's a free resource. The Count and I pay thousands of dollars per year for that free resource. Utilize it, honey. Utilize it. This year it was like 1,000. Next year it'll be 5,000. So to make sure I'm being factually accurate. But the Count and I pay for that out of our own pockets because we love you guys so super much. And it matters and it makes a difference. People who are in that group, we lost last month over 16,000 pounds collectively as a group because of with the group. Like, hello, if you are wanting to lose more weight, and also other tips like this. The Count had some awesome tips today too. He just posted a news article. It was so good. I'm like, you go, hot husband. That's my man. Anyways, my sweet friends, also make sure if you haven't gotten your free sticks with any purchase, go to drinkelement.com/queen, QUEEN. I'll link that in the description link below. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.